The stars have been notified. The group chat is active. And 12 zodiac signs are about to enter the most dramatic season of Lua Nova's Zodiac Island yet. This season, every sign thinks they're the favorite. The Leos are campaigning. The Libras are flirting. The Geminis are explaining themselves. And the Scorpios are refusing to answer any questions without their attorney present. But this year, the stakes are higher because this isn't just about opinions. It's about destiny. First, listeners will vote to decide which zodiac sign deserves to be crowned the fan favorite and officially claim 2027 as their year. Then, the galaxy goes full retrograde mode. Extra messy, baby. Because it's time to decide which two zodiac signs are destined to be coupled up in 2027. Will Taurus finally find their match in Virgo? Will Cancer and Sagittarius turn emotional chaos into romance? Or will Aquarius decide that they're still in their hot girl era like Meg? The power is in your hands, new moons, and this vote reshapes the zodiac fate for 2027. Now making her grand entrance into the zodiac villa, the woman, the myth, the hottest Virgo on the island, your host, Josie the Mustang.
Bonjour, new moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the Afro-Latina goddess of witches, and you're aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast, Zodiac Island. Last season, we met all 12 Zodiac contestants, and thanks to your feedback, I brought this series back with 12 new astrological baddies. Last season, we got to know the personality traits of the Zodiac, their strengths, their quirks, and maybe a few red flags that they swear make them quote-unquote misunderstood. We also toured the villa and explored all 12 astrological houses to see where the drama, romance, career moves, friendships, and life lessons unfold. But a new season means that it's time to raise the stakes, new moons, because this season it is all about love. Over the next 2 episodes, each zodiac sign is stepping into the spotlight to answer one very important question. What is it like to date them? Who falls hard? Who is loyal? Who is impossible to read? Who needs constant reassurance? Who likes to start an argument because they thought it would just be fun? And who's secretly a walking green flag pretending that they're emotionally unavailable? I am looking at a few of you zodiac signs right now. After the contestants enter Zodiac Island, I will be breaking down their common strengths, challenges, dating styles, and relationship patterns that each sun sign is famous for. And then next week, after everybody has officially entered Zodiac Villa, I am going to start to give you the pros and cons of dating each sign, okay? We will see who naturally clicks, who should absolutely stay in separate villas, and which pairings might actually surprise everybody. And before anybody starts sending me strongly worded emails, today's conversations are only about the sun signs. Astrology is much bigger than your sun sign, though. Your birth chart is filled with different planetary placements that all work together to create your unique personality. But today, we're keeping things simple so that everybody gets to play along. So, we're about to turn up the music. I want you to grab your sunscreen, unpack your emotional baggage, and meet our 12 Zodiac participants.
Goddess mood activated. I'm aligned, so magnetic. It's a hot summer night under the Virgo full moon. We danced and partied until noon. Embodying Leo's main character energy. We're happy like Aquarius, we're happy as can be. Sipping champagne, Taurus, luxury. Feeling Libra, divine, feminine, extra bougie. Money's attracted to me, like Virgo and Capricorn. Throw up your zodiac sign, represent the day you were born. We're blessed with divine gifts, we're blessed with favor. Feel these good vibrations like a Pisces. Feel that you're the creator. With divine oneness, we're like attracts like this. Because you're free, cosmic, solar life. With divine oneness, we're like attracts like epitome of our Throw up your zodiac sign, represent the day you were born. We're blessed with divine gifts, we're blessed with favor. Feel these good vibrations like a Pisces. Feel that you're the creator. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Dance because you're free, cosmic, solar life. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Epitome of our highest self, cosmic, solar life. We're blessed with divine gifts, we're blessed with favor. Feel these good vibrations like a Pisces. Feel that you're the creator. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Epitome of our highest self, cosmic, solar life. We're blessed with divine gifts, we're blessed with favor. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Dance because you're free, cosmic, solar life. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Epitome of our highest self, cosmic, solar life. Solar life. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Dance because you're free, cosmic, solar life. We're divine oneness, we're like a track slide. Epitome of our highest self, cosmic, solar life. We're blessed with divine gifts, we're blessed with favor. Feel these good vibrations. Feel that you're the creator.
Summer just got its soundtrack. Josie's EP, Summer Solstice, is out now. It's a 4-track summer manifestation experience designed to help you call in your best season yet. Think energy, intention, glow-ups, and road trip windows down vibes. You can stream Summer Solstice on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and all major music platforms. And while you're there, you can also find Josie's debut album, Ethereal Pop Alchemist, and her audiobook, Aphrodite's Algorithm. Summer Solstice is out now. Go stream it, sing it, and share it.
And the song that you just heard is Zodiac Summer. It is from my EP, Summer Solstice. And as you just heard, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever it is that you like to stream your music from. Okay? And new moons, now that you have officially met all 12 of our contestants, I think that it's time that we answer the question that you've all been waiting for. Would you actually date any of these signs? Every contestant walked into this villa with their own strengths, their own charm, and yes, a few habits that might have you texting your best friend after the first date and saying, girl, you are never going to believe what just happened. Nobody's perfect, not even us Virgos. So today, we're looking at the green flags, the yellow flags, and the occasional maybe let's unpack that in therapy flags, okay? Remember, this is all in good fun. We will be focusing only on sun signs, and every person is so much more than just one placement in their birth chart. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it.
Hey new moons, quick question. Do you wish you could listen to Lua Nova without the ads? You actually can. On Patreon, every Lua Nova episode is available ad-free, and you'll also get early access to new episodes. The $2 membership includes early access and ad-free listening, while the $5 membership includes all of those perks, plus exclusive Patreon episodes where Josie answers members' personal tarot questions using her tarot skills. You can join at patreon.com/the Lua Nova Podcast, or download the Patreon app and search for the Lua Nova Podcast. As always, you can find the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the rest of the episode.
Starting off with the leader of the zodiac, and remember, when it comes to these pros and cons, I base this off of birth charts. I also base this off of the amount of years that I've been reading tarot, because tarot and astrology go hand in hand. Okay, they are brother and sister, pretty much. Starting off with the leader of the zodiac, Aries. What I would say the pros and cons of dating Aries, and we're going to start off with the pros, is that the pros are that they're going to definitely convince you to try things that you never thought you would do. I think that Aries does typically have a fearless quality about them. And when it comes to how I see them, I think that life is never really boring for them. They do tend to have an adventurous streak, okay? They're also quite passionate. I think of the fire signs that they are the most passionate. The fire signs are Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. And so I think that they definitely bring fiery energy. They represent the look of their sign, which is a ram, very well, okay? And they're fiercely protective of everybody that they love, everybody that they care for. And I'm actually basing a lot of how I see Aries on a particular tarot reader who is an Aries and very well known in the community of tarot readers. And I won't say his name here or anything like that, but he's also part of a lot of different communities, so I'm sure that you will hear of him. But having had conversations with this particular tarot reader, I would say that one thing that I admire is when it comes to Aries, they know their craft. They know what they're talking about. This is why they're great. Usually they're great at being leaders. And keep in mind, when I'm referring to all 12 zodiac signs, and I will keep reminding you of this, I'm referring to the evolved version of these signs. So at the time of this recording, this is actually being recorded on Hoshi's birthday. So happy birthday to my sweet little Hoshi. May he continue to rest in power. And I want you to understand that I, like the rest of you, am locked in with Love Island, and and I pay a lot of attention to astrology. So something that I'm noticing on this particular show is how unevolved these people are, and how that can come out in your sun sign, especially. Like I said, your whole birth chart is important. We are only focusing on the sun signs, but something that I noticed while watching Love Island is when you see the unevolved version of a sign interacting with other people, it's difficult to watch because you so want them to heal. You so want them to do better, because even though we don't know these people, we grow to really like them or try to understand them, I should say, okay, and relate to them. So getting back to Aries, like I said, they're fiercely protective of the people that they love and care for. And Aries is going to hype you up and focus on you being the main character a lot. It's not so much that they are background characters. I certainly would never call Aries a background character, but they don't have any issue with allowing other people to shine, which is something that I think the other two parts of the fire signs struggle a little more with. And so now we're going to get into the cons of dating an Aries. Keep in mind, keep your think pieces to yourself. I have been doing this since around 2008, but I've been studying astrology since I was a kid. Actually, I have been completely obsessed with astrology since I was a child, and it has a lot to do with my mother and her love of the zodiac. So this is not anything that I'm new to, all right? But when it comes to the cons, and I'm referring to unevolved Aries, something that I've noticed is that they can sometimes be a little too adventurous. Maybe everybody else can't keep up. I think that some people won't see that as a con, but I think that if you're not as maybe spontaneous or as quick to move as they want you to be, that can become an issue in their eyes. And so many people would see that as a con, especially because I would say their next con is they do typically tend to be quite impatient, extremely. And I don't think I've ever met a patient Aries in my life. I'm sure they exist, but they do typically, they want things done and they want them done now and they want them done a particular way. So that is something that is why I get along with Aries so well. But that is a con for sure. And it's a con in myself. So I'm calling out us Virgos for that too. And they can typically turn everything into a championship event. They typically do want, I'm not saying that they're all competitive, but they do typically want to win. They want to be seen as a winner. They want to be seen as a leader. And of course that can be seen as a con, because oftentimes it might create a bit of a struggle dynamic. You know what I mean? And when it comes to, I would say the last con that I see with some Aries, is that they can be maybe not so quick to apologize. Yeah, it may not be so quick to apologize, even when they most certainly know that they are wrong. So we're going to move right to Taurus, the next part of the zodiac. Keep in mind that I'm going in order of the zodiac. So if you're wondering what order I'm going in. Okay. So the Taurus is an earth sign. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. So keep in mind earth. Taurus is, when it comes to their pros, they are loyal. I love this about Taurus. I love this about the male and female Taurus. Both sides of when it comes to gender, is that I've noticed that that's something that they have in common. When they are loyal to you, they are fiercely loyal to you. And I noticed, and some people would even say that this is a con, that it can be to a fault. And I would say that if they are affectionate with you, it is going to be in a way that is warm, a way that makes you feel that you're at home, a way that makes you feel like you have truly found a good friend or a cousin or whatever they are in your life, coworker, etc. All right. They also typically have extremely, I would say, exquisite taste in either food or music and how their home is decorated. This is something that they share with Libra because they are both ruled by the planet Venus. Okay. So think of Venus energy. I think Taurus definitely is the epitome of Venus energy. All right. Food is something that they take seriously. I remember a particular Taurus that I knew long ago at one of the jobs that I worked at, and it really bothered him that at the time I was living in this small apartment with Hoshi and didn't really care a lot about keeping my fridge stocked, and I still don't. I just don't. It's just not, I'm busy. And it bothered him so much that I was that way, because he took his food so seriously and just thought, wow, your food is typically so boring, Josie. And I love that about Taurus, is that when it comes to food, they take it extremely seriously. And this is actually something I've noticed about people who have Taurus as their sun, moon, or rising, that this is something that they take it to heart. Love that about Taurus. And comfort is not only important to them, it's vital. And I would say in everything, whether it's the type of car that they drive, the shoes that they're wearing. It's not that they're not fashionable, of course. I'm just saying that they value their comfort. They don't like being in uncomfortable environments, and they will let you know if they feel uncomfortable. But I've noticed when it comes to a Taurus and their home in particular, that they embody earth sign energy, and that there is a level of comfort that I can't even explain, because it doesn't even look a particular way. It's a feeling that you get when you're inside of the home or the office. I used to work for a Taurus, and the second I would walk into her office, and I noticed it changed when she wasn't the supervisor anymore, it immediately had a very homey energy, and I can't even explain it. But only a Taurus does this. I've never really seen this with other zodiac signs, even if we, like, for instance, Virgo and Capricorn sharing that earth sign element, even still, it's not the same, and I don't know why. So let's get to the cons, because it sounds like they're my favorite, right? I really don't have a favorite. I guess I'm going to be biased and say Virgo is my favorite. I'm a Virgo, if you're new here, but you're going to hear me tell you that 10 million times, like every other Virgo. The cons of Taurus. Once they have made up their mind, they have made up their mind. And oftentimes I've noticed they're wrong about what they've made up their mind about. So let's say it's about a person. All of a sudden, everything about that person is wrong. Everything that person says and does is wrong. Even if they're right, even if Taurus could actually be the one that messed up or somehow did something that made the other person uncomfortable. Taurus will typically not want to see it from any other side but their own. Okay. They don't typically like a lot of change. They like things to stay a certain way and keep it that way. Remember, they like comfort. So when things are not comfortable, it can really throw off their entire chakras. I'm going to say that way. They are suddenly right out of alignment. And when it comes to things that are their favorites, they have to really love you to want to share it. Especially food, of course, but I would say anything, that they gotta really care for you to want to share anything. They're not typically that open to just wanting to share. Now, I have definitely come across the ones that will. And again, I'm referring to the evolved version of Taurus. So, but I have noticed on the other side of things, it's very much so mine, me. You don't get to do this. You gotta do it my way. And I actually find that quite amusing about Taurus, but that is technically it's definitely a con. And a lot of people will say, well, Taurus is stubborn because of course they are represented by the bull. I think that that's too easy of a con to describe Taurus, because I wouldn't say that they're necessarily stubborn. I think that it's more like when they're locked in to anything, their opinion, how they feel about something, what they like, what they dislike. I wouldn't say it's stubborn. I would say that it's more like, convince me. That's the attitude I will typically get from them. Okay. So let's move right on to Gemini. Now, Gemini, I can already tell you that last season you did not get good feedback. Gemini typically doesn't. I think it has a little bit to do with some of the most famous Geminis not being the best people, like Donald Trump and Kanye West being just the worst people in the world. So they oftentimes get a bad rep, but I have met some great Geminis that are the opposite. And because they are evolved, and they are, I guess because we're ruled by the same planet, Mercury, that I think that if you meet the right Gemini, it's going to be the best conversation you're ever going to have in your life. So starting off with their pros, that is my first pro about them, is that if you meet an evolved Gemini, it is going to be an outstanding conversation. You're going to leave that conversation still thinking about it months later. They are incredibly funny, and I don't think that they're trying to be. It's just a natural comedian in them. I don't know what it is. And even if you despise a lot about them, poor Gemini, they are not getting, this sounds terrible, but so we're only going to focus on the evolved side of Gemini. That duality that they have that no other zodiac sign has, it really works in their favor when it comes to how they view the world. Because they can see things from two points of view. They can see things from as above, so below, that type of a view. And when they're evolved, they are definitely somebody that you want in your corner, because they will see many facets of things that you will oftentimes overlook. Okay. They're curious about everything. And I think that is most certainly a pro. Their curiosity leads them to want to learn more, and makes them easy to talk to often, because they're usually going to ask you a lot of questions, and not because they're digging necessarily, but because they're just genuinely curious about everything. They always have a story. I have never met a Gemini that doesn't have an immense amount of stories, and rather it's about their life. They do oftentimes make great podcasters or storytellers in general. And they're definitely going to keep life interesting. You're going to be on your toes a lot. And I think that if they're not in your life anymore, that they left a mark. Okay. And hopefully not always a negative one, like what we're currently experiencing here in the US. But I think on the positive end of things, they can leave a mark on your life that helps you evolve. Okay. So the cons are sometimes that communication style can be too much for some people. It can be, hey, can you chill out? I need your communication is all over the place. I need you to focus. I need you to focus on one conversation because I'm not even sure where this conversation is going. So I would say that they can be a bit scatterbrained when it comes to how they communicate. And because of I oftentimes see this in unevolved Geminis, is they change their minds a lot and then suddenly don't remember anything that they said. Suddenly it's, oh, well, I don't feel that way anymore. Or, yeah, but that was last week. It's like, yeah, but what you said stuck. Or what you did stuck. You can't just erase it. So it's not uncommon, because they do change their mind a lot, for them to not see that whatever their decisions were, whatever their conversations were, whatever their actions were, did in fact have an impact. Okay. And, I would say that sometimes people think that they are impossible to keep up with in a negative way, such as, I don't really know what to expect from you, and it makes it uncomfortable to deal with you. That's kind of the feedback that I notice a lot of. That's the best way that I would word it, is I don't know what to expect from these people. So how can I really trust anything from them? You know what I mean? And I hope I'm making sense. So one moment, because then we are going to move on to Cancer.
There's a lot happening in the world of Lua Nova. Literally everything under the moon. From this podcast, Josie's music, the ebooks, the Patreon, etc., etc. It's so much content. And if you've ever found yourself wondering, where do I find all of this? The answer is simple. Visit luanovapodcast.net. That's luanovapodcast.net. Check the show notes for the link. The official website is your home for everything Lua Nova and Josie the Mustang related, and all in one place. One more time for the people in the back. That's luanovapodcast.net.
All right, let's move on to Cancer. So one thing about Cancer is that no one's going to care for you like Cancer does. If they care, they really deeply care for you, and it's a very nurturing feeling. I've noticed this about every Cancer. It doesn't matter their age, their gender, anything like that. When they care, they care. And that leads into them being loyal to those that they really admire and love and hold dearly. And that's usually not a lot of people for them. They are very closed off, so it's going to be a handful of people that they feel that way about. In relationships, they can be extremely romantic, I've noticed. And I think that it's not so much that they just love romance, it's that they like to make the other people feel loved. the other person feel loved, okay? They're great at making people feel emotionally safe. So if they are evolved, they are easy to open up to, and they also will open up to you. And I think that this is what makes them the best person to be a friend with, because they have a side of them that wants you to feel safe and seen. You know what I mean? And this is why I call them the friend of the Zodiac. Even though they are technically the mother of the Zodiac because they're ruled by the moon. But I would say that they're the friend of the Zodiac because they're going to hear you out, and they're going to give you typically positive feedback, affirmations, pouring into you, etc. And they remember little things. They remember, when it comes to their memory, first of all, they typically have a pretty strong memory, but they're going to remember the good times that maybe you even forgot. So it's almost like when you need to hear this memory that helped you in some way, they will unlock something that you needed to hear. So they're quite nostalgic in that way. Okay. We're going to move right on to their cons because they do feel everything. I would say of all of the water signs, and I'm sorry, I didn't go over the water signs. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And so when it comes to the water signs, something that I've noticed is that, of course, they feel everything, but then they want everybody else to feel everything too. And I think Cancer embodies this. It's a tsunami of feelings. And so if you're not sad with them, they take it personally. if you are hurt as they are, they take it very personally, and it's almost like seen as an attack. And the next con that I would say that I see a lot in unevolved Cancers is that they expect you to read their mind. Oh my God. Oh, this is something that has always annoyed me about Cancer, is that they will, for instance, I'm going to give you an actual example of something that really has happened obviously, as you know, there's a lot of Cancers around me and a big part of my life. They will, for instance, have an event, a birthday, a milestone in their life of some sort, and expect you to know how they want to celebrate it. You're just supposed to know because you know them. And I'm like, no, we all have to speak up and tell people what we want. That's important. It's important to let people know what you want, Cancer. You're not really good at that. And because of this, they do typically retreat into themselves. And this is why I said that they have an extremely small circle. I've never really met a Cancer that has a ton of people around them and just hangs out with a ton of people. They tend to just want to be alone. It's not really personal. It's that they just have a hard time connecting with a ton of people. I think it emotionally drains them. So it's not even so much that it's a con, but I can see how some people would see it that way. Okay. And so the next con, I would say the last one, is that they do tend to hold on to the negativity too long. And where other people have evolved past something or healed past something, if a Cancer has not evolved, they are going to still bring up something from 30 years ago. They will not let it go. Even if the other people or other person is like, hey, I've already apologized. I've already done the best that I can do here. I don't know what else you want from me. So that's what I would say. And I can already tell. The only negative feedback I've ever received in tarot readings is always from Cancer. It's never any other zodiac sign. Every other zodiac sign is like, no, I mean, I get where you're coming from. We're not all the same. And, we have an entire birth chart. But yes. And that is why my disclaimer, where I'm like, if you don't like it, get out, was where I pointed out Cancer in particular. Because I think that when they're unevolved, they take things way too personally. Okay? So we're going to move right on to another sign that is quite sensitive in this area. But that's okay. Leo. Leo is known for being an extrovert, but I've actually known quite a few introverted Leos but one thing they have in common is if they're confident, their confidence speaks for them. They don't have to try to be the main character. They don't have to try at all. They just are. And this makes them extremely likable naturally. They are also extremely generous. I've mentioned briefly my former best friend on this show before. She was very much so a Leo. And I noticed about her is that she was always generous. Always very giving, and not just of her stuff, but of her time. And wanting other people to feel like they were having a good time. She wanted other people to feel as though they were liked by her, almost as though she was Regina George, and was like, I like you, so everybody else should feel that way. It was amusing to see. When a Leo is in a relationship, that person becomes their sun. That person becomes their whole world. So what I like about seeing evolved Leos, because unevolved Leos are literally the exact opposite, but an evolved Leo, you are the sun to them. You are everything to them. And it is likely because you made that Leo your main character. So if they feel worshipped in some way by you, then you will always be the main character in their life. They know how to make life exciting without trying. I've never met a Leo that I would find boring. Even if they don't have a ton of hobbies, even if, like I said, they're more the introverted side of Leo, they have interesting hobbies and interests that really, for instance, you'll just randomly talk to a Leo and they'll be like, yeah, so I just rollerblade every day. And you're like, what? What did you do? I've never met anybody. Yeah, I just like to rollerblade, especially in the rain. And they will always have some sort of interesting side of them that nobody would ever expect. about them. And that's actually something I admire about the quieter Leos, is that they tend to be the ones that are more interesting. I'll put it that way. Moving on to the cons of Leo. They can overdo the main character trope a lot, where it's like, but what about me? But it's my day. But I won. But it's, I think them being ruled by the sun can be an issue. I have so much experience when it comes to Leos. So many Leos around my life at different parts of my life and the one thing I've noticed that they all have in common is that if you don't acknowledge their greatness, it is a slap in the face to them. If you don't see them as great as they see themselves, they will never forgive you. They will always have an issue with you. I'm also going to tell you guys something funny, something that I probably shouldn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you because I feel like it. My stalker, who I've mentioned, is a Leo, and the most unevolved of Leos ever. And you want to know his biggest issue with me? I never saw his greatness, and I still don't, because it's not there. But that is what it's like when you deal with an unevolved Leo, is how dare you not think of me as the sun? So that is where they can be a little bit dramatic. And sometimes some Leos, I've noticed that this isn't a common con. Some of them, they have to be right. No matter what, even when they're wrong, they have to be right. You will not convince them otherwise, even when they are extremely wrong. And I mean, let's say that they say, since I've been watching Love Island, let's say they say epitome instead of epitome. They're going to stand on it. And if you don't agree, then you're the problem. So we're going to move on to Virgo. I'm a Virgo. Did I mention that? Oh, I'm sorry. New moons. One moment. I need water so bad. One moment.
Quick pause, new moons. If you want this episode early and ad-free, you can join the Patreon for $2 a month at patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast. Now back to Lua Nova. Josie, what were we discussing again?
Starting off with the pros of Virgo. Virgo, you're going to love this. Beyonce. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, Selma Hayek, Cameron Diaz. The list goes on and on and on of some of the most accomplished people ever, and always known as the best of the best of the best. So that's the first pro. I had to do it, Virgo. I had to do it for us. And I know that there's many, Jack Black, there's many Virgos that I overlooked, but there's a ton of us that are extremely accomplished in one way or another. So moving on. Virgo is dependable. Virgo is not somebody that you have to worry will not come through for you. They're going to come through for you in a big way, and oftentimes with things that you didn't even realize you still needed. So if it's for a project, if it's a coworker, they're going to make sure that you have all the tools that you need and that they're there early, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Virgo is thoughtful because Virgo pays attention to details. Virgo is going to remember that when you mentioned when you were 10 years old, you had a race car cake, and they're going to get that for you for your birthday, things like that, because Virgo pays attention to details. All right. We love details. I know I do. I will notice the tiniest of tiny things about everything. All right. Virgo is a problem solver. Virgo solves problems before they happen. It is not uncommon. You know why? Because we feel the problems in our body. This is why Virgo is known for having stomach issues. So if things are out of alignment, we feel it. And so it's like, how can I fix it? It's always that sort of a mindset. All right. And I would say the last pro is that we really enjoy showing people love through action. So let me do this for you. Let me pack your lunch. Let me make sure that this is laid out for you. Let me make sure that I check in with you. Things of that nature. It's always, how can I be of service? And it's not even on purpose. It's just a natural way that Virgo is. And I've noticed this I don't think I've ever met a Virgo that wasn't this way. And I think that male Virgos oftentimes get a bad rap, but I've noticed this, that male Virgos are more like that than female Virgos, because I've worked with a lot of male Virgos, and I noticed that if I needed help with something, they're going to go above and beyond. They're going to walk me through it step by step. Here's a PowerPoint. Beautifully laid out. I also brought extra tools that you might need. And if you do, and do you need Red Bull? Because I know, Josie, I know you like Red Bull, so I also brought that. And I went ahead and also emailed this to you. That's male Virgos, especially in the workplace, okay? But let's get to the cons. Virgo, I already know. Save the think pieces, Virgo, because yes, I have to say our cons too. I'm not going to skip over it just because we have the same sun sign. All right. We tend to come in and want to fix things without permission, want to change things without permission. And I don't mean throw away all your stuff. I mean, you may not always need the help. You may not always want the help. And Virgo thinks, but I was just trying to help. I was just trying to be there for you. And I was just, by giving you unsolicited advice that you didn't ask for. I don't know when to back off sometimes. Okay. I would say that that's a big con that I notice in a lot of Virgos. All right. Because Virgo does notice everything, that can be a negative trait, meaning that they notice every flaw on themselves, every flaw about themselves. They can be extremely self-critical. And what I notice is when Virgo gets this bad reputation for being critical of others, their criticism is also oftentimes internal, and then it comes out to everyone else. And I think the best example of this, and here's the last disclaimer you're going to get from me. I don't give a damn how you feel about what I'm about to say. Not even a little bit. I would say the best example of this is Anaya from Love Island. Anaya is a Virgo. And I think that once Anaya evolves and heals, that you won't see this in her anymore. But the self-criticism, her being as insecure as she is, it bleeds all over Casey. And Casey is no angel, but it bleeds all over him. And I think that it's gotten very disrespectful, meaning her toward him. And it's one thing to call somebody a grandma. It's another thing to call somebody out their name. It's another thing to get in somebody's face repeatedly and curse at them repeatedly. That is crossing a line when that person hasn't crossed that line with you. You get what I mean? So this is what I mean by, when I see an unevolved Virgo, that's typically how it goes. Every insecure feeling that I'm having, now you have to have it. It's very manipulative, And so the last thing that I would say that I'm still working on is that an unevolved Virgo and Virgos that need to heal struggle with relaxing, because there's always something that needs to be done. I'm thinking right now of some things that need to be done. Yes, it's heavily on my mind, and I'm working on it. I'm still healing. Okay. Moving right along to Libra. Now Libra can be so charming, so likable. Libra, it's not, they're not trying to charm you. It's just, this is just how I am. I thought everybody was this way. It's that kind of a vibe. And I would say that the next pro about Libra is how romantic they can be in relationships. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They want you to feel loved. They love. They're just one big Valentine heart. When they're in love and when they care for people, it's the most love you're ever going to feel. It's the most loved that you will ever feel. And I really admire that about Libra. Libra can oftentimes be quite diplomatic. They are great at delegating as well. So if you work for a Libra, they're going to be great at delegating tasks to their entire team, or let's say that you are working on something together, they're going to take on their half of it. They're very diplomatic in their decisions. They do typically not struggle too much with their decisions if they're evolved. And they stand on whatever their beliefs are. And I really admire that, because it's not so much in a negative way. They like to have beautiful experiences, or they like to have a lot of beauty around them. I've noticed with female Virgos in particular, the ones that do embody femininity, that they're going to be the most feminine of all. They are going to really enjoy life. And think of, how, if you've ever watched Emily in Paris, the aesthetic of Emily in Paris, the scenery. Now, before the Parisians, jump down my throat, I'm aware that is strictly an aesthetic. But that aesthetic of, look at the Eiffel Tower with the flowers everywhere. That's how I picture Libra, is when they're beautiful from the inside out, it shows all over. It is something you want to be around. It's an energy that you enjoy being around. Okay. And it's typically because the last pro that I'll say is that they want people to be happy. They don't enjoy when the people that they care for are unhappy, and they will oftentimes internalize it themselves. And with that said, let's move on to the cons of Libra. If they are not evolved, everything becomes an issue when it comes to making decisions. Every decision is, yeah, but what about this? What about this? Well, I don't know. Let me rethink this. As somebody who has a Libra stellium, I'm this way, but I can be this way, but I think that they mean well. I really do think that they mean well, but if they're not evolved enough, their decision making can be quite an issue. And I think that the next con that I want to get into is their issues when it comes to conflict. Because a Libra will go to 0 to a million when it comes to conflict. And it's because they don't feel balanced. Think about it, a Libra is represented by scales. So if they don't feel balanced, the negative side of them oftentimes will take over in the worst way, and it makes them very hard to communicate with. All right. I think that they tend to overthink in every area of their life, typically with bigger decisions. And I don't mean that they're not able to make the decisions. Like I said earlier, I think that it's more that they're afraid of the outcome if they didn't weigh every tiny area of every major decision. Like, yes, but what if is oftentimes what I'll notice with Libras that still need to do some evolving. Okay. Libra, I think the last issue is that they can be people pleasers. Of why doesn't this person like me? And what did I ever do to you? But I'm this and I'm that. And I would say to Libra to please stop. The people who like you, like you. The people who don't. You focus too much on the people who don't. Just be you. The people that love you are going to love you in a way that the other zodiac signs could never understand. Because you are just likable. You are charming. That's it. All right. We're going to move on to Scorpio. And this is another sign that I get. The feedback is always strong about. Scorpio, if they are loyal to you, it's in a way that makes you feel like you are the only person that exists. I think that nobody could ever make you feel an intense amount of love like Scorpio. It is intense. Intense is the word that describes every Scorpio ever. I've never met a Scorpio that wasn't intense. Even if they are not somebody who is unevolved, when I would say that how they feel about you is always intense. Whether it's intense love or intense hatred, it's intense. and with that being said, they are fiercely protective. That everything that you do, if they care for you, is right. And no one better ever go against it. No one better ever feel differently, because they take it to heart. Like, yes, but I love that person, so how dare you say something negative about them? How dare you not feel like I do about them? That's their way of being. Is they see you in a way that, and they see everyone that they care for in a way that makes you kind of want to see the world the way they do. You know, they don't do fake. There's nothing about them that's comfortable around fakeness. So you know how when people, if you've ever, a lot of you, you know, from 2020 on, work from home, right? A lot of you still do. And you had to join these annoying Zoom meetings, Teams meetings, etc. And everybody's super fake in the beginning when they first log on. Hey, hi guys. That Scorpio, and I as well, will go nuts and literally hide, get quiet, shut down. They will completely shut down when it comes to anything that is surface level. They're not surface level people. They don't like surface level. They don't like small talk. They're keep in mind how intense they are. They like intensity all the time. Okay. And in everything. And I think that oftentimes gives them this bad reputation of that everything's sexual. No, I wouldn't say everything's sexual with Scorpio. I would say that they feel everything. So that tends to make them come across that way. And when they get this reputation of being mysterious, I wouldn't say that, I don't think of Scorpio as being mysterious. Maybe because I've known so many Scorpios, but I think that Scorpio is, if they're mysterious with you, it's because they don't like you. It's because they don't want you to know anything about them. I do think that there is a level of mystery about Scorpio in that they're not going to tell you everything. And they're definitely not going to tell you everything all at once. But when they do, it is a vault. First of all, it's like the ocean coming at you. It is a lot of emotion at once when they do tell you how they feel or what they're thinking or what's been on their mind. Okay. So when they do communicate, they are outstanding communicators, and they want you to feel everything that they're communicating. And I think that is extremely interesting about Scorpio in particular. So moving on to their cons. Because they tend to be like, you have to earn my trust, their guard can be up extremely high, and they oftentimes don't look at themselves and realize, hey, are you trustworthy? Or are you somebody that people can let their guard down with? They only focus on the other end of it. Well, I have to trust you. Yes, but we also have to trust you, Scorpio. This is a two-way street. Okay? They can be quite secretive. I notice with an unevolved Scorpio, honestly, they're not somebody you could trust. They are somebody you need to keep at arm's length because they are lying. Of all of the zodiac signs, I would say if this person's lying to you, this is big lies. It is big, scary lies. It is run type of lies. It is get as far away from them as possible types of lies. Okay. I think that this is something that I was told they see as a con about Scorpio, so I decided to add this in, because that they notice things, but they notice things from a negative point of view only. Whereas Virgo will notice tiny little details, especially about themselves. Scorpio will notice it and only point out the negative. There is no balance. So if there's something about you that they don't like, they're honing in on it. And this is not something they tend to see within themselves, though. And so that's an issue that I've noticed with Scorpio in particular. I think that Scorpio will oftentimes ask you a ton of questions because they're trying to get to the bottom of something. Meanwhile, they're the ones that have the secret. They're the ones that are actually, you should be interrogating them. I'll put it that way. Okay, so we are going to move on to the last of the zodiac. So that would be Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So, one moment, new moons.
Here's a fun fact about Lua Nova. the person behind this podcast probably isn't what you would expect. Josie is a practicing witch and has been a tarot reader for several years. But if you're expecting the typical witchy aesthetic, think again. For instance, her favorite color is pink, she's been collecting Hello Kitty since she was a child, and she's built Lua Nova around the idea that spirituality doesn't have to fit inside a single box. Josie is Afro-Brazilian and Mexican-American, and the name Lua Nova, Portuguese for new moon, is both a nod to her heritage and to the moon's importance in her spiritual practice. She creates popular manifestation music, which is available on major platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. She's written ebooks on manifestation and personal growth, and most of the work that goes into her podcast, music, and ebooks are all done by her. If there's one thing you will immediately notice about Lua Nova, it's that this isn't about selling expensive courses or telling you there's only one right way to be spiritual. It's about manifestation, an improved self-concept, trusting your intuition, and creating a life that feels peaceful. If you would rather listen to Lua Nova without these ads, you can join the Patreon for just $2 a month. Go to patreon.com/The Lua Nova Podcast or download the Patreon app and search for The Lua Nova Podcast. The link for the Patreon is in the show notes. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
Okay, we are back and we are moving on to Sagittarius. So when it comes to Sagittarius, one of their biggest pros is how adventurous their life tends to be. They tend to have lived a million lives in one lifetime. It will be, you'll just have a conversation with them and they will randomly be like, back when I was 10, I was an Olympian, and then just casually move on to something else. And it's something I've noticed about Sagittarius. They're not afraid to try a lot of different things in their life. And they are one of the funniest parts of the zodiac. I think that when they're funny, it is natural. It is inviting. It makes them more likable. It makes you want to get to know them more. It makes you want to understand them because it's a natural side of them. You know what I mean? So the next pro that I would point out about Sagittarius is that they really enjoy seeing the lighter side of life. They can be quite optimistic, and it comes from a genuine place. They want to see the best in people. They want to see the best in themselves, and they want to see life from the point of view of, yes, it's bad now, but it's going to get better. And I really admire that about Sagittarius. Okay. And the last pro that I'm going to mention about Sagittarius is that they're going to inspire you. They are intelligent. They like to learn. And because of that, I think that alone makes them inspiring, but they tend to want other people to feel as though they can do anything, because Sagittarius knows that, Sagittarius kind of looks at life like, I can do anything, so can you, which is extremely inspiring. They also tend to be quite accomplished in life, so that alone makes them extremely inspiring. So let's move on to their cons. They might be a little too spontaneous, to the point of you feeling as though you can't keep up, or them not understanding responsibilities sometimes, them not understanding that everybody has a different path and may not want to do things the way that they do, or may not have the time or money to do things the way that they can. And so Sagittarius will take that to heart, take it internally, and see you as, oh, you're being boring. When it's like, no, Sagittarius, I can't just drop everything because you wanted me to. Okay. They don't really like routines. In relationships, this can be an issue because routines, faithfulness, etc. is something I noticed with Sagittarius that they can struggle with, is that they get bored easily. So they can kind of see their partner as almost like a hindrance when it's like, yeah, but you chose them and you were so in love with them last week. You know what I mean? So I noticed when a Sagittarius is unevolved, I genuinely would not recommend dating them. I really wouldn't. And I know I haven't said that about any other zodiac signs, but I'm going to say it right now about Sagittarius in particular. Sagittarius oftentimes can be blunt to a point of where it is offensive and will cover it up with a joke. And so that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. But I think that if you call them out about it, I've noticed that they won't do that anymore. But I don't think that it comes from a negative place. I just think that it comes from them not even really realizing that that's how they communicate. All right. So let me see. Let's move right on to Capricorn. Capricorn is extremely reliable in many different facets of their life. A lot of the time people will say this about business, but I think Capricorn is reliable in general. So if you need somebody that is going to be there for you, and I don't mean emotionally, I mean, they're there for you. They're somebody who you can turn to, who you don't have to worry is going to constantly let you down. They don't do that. They don't tend to even want to do that. All right. They are also quite ambitious. And I think that Capricorn is ambitious in many different areas of their life. So where some Capricorns, you see them as these business owners and very serious. Other Capricorns, it's more like, no, I just really kind of want to live my life and have fun. And somehow it worked out for me and it's a career. And it always seems to work out for Capricorn. No matter what, they are literally the embodiment of lucky girl syndrome. And I have no idea what it is about them, but their ambition is so natural and so easy. And I admire it about them for sure. They are somebody that plans. This is something I really love about Capricorn. They plan. They plan their life. They plan in advance. They have business plans. They're planning 10 steps ahead. They look at everything from a million different points of view. And when they are intelligent, they are the most intelligent. Now, an unevolved Capricorn is the opposite. When they're unintelligent, it's yikes. It's next level. Now let's move on to the cons of Capricorn. They can do a little too much. So let's say that, because I've seen this in a creator that's a Capricorn. This creator will stay online all day long. And I'm thinking in my head, when do you ever eat? When do you ever sleep? And it's, no, I got to keep creating. I have to. what do you mean? This is my job. And it can oftentimes bleed into other areas of their life, their relationships, their friendships, etc., where you don't feel as though you can really come to them about much because they're not available emotionally or, in general. So the next con that I would say is that they can be slow to open up to you. And it's not because they don't like you. It's just that their guard is up based on them feeling as though I need to know if you will be in my life long term. They like long term when it comes to everything, jobs, relationships, etc. They're not short term people. So if they feel that you aren't a good fit, you're gone. And that's it. That's it. All right, moving on to Aquarius. What I love about Aquarius is how original they are. Aquarius, when I say that they're original, I mean in their thought process, I mean in how they live their life, how they view everything, is you're going to get feedback that no one else even thought to say to you. You're going to see things in a way that you would never think of. They are the epitome of authenticity. When an Aquarius is intelligent, it's going to unlock something in your mind. It's going to make you see the world from a completely different point of view. I think that a good example of this is Megan Thee Stallion bringing anime into her rap career. And that this is not something we see from other rappers, and it's not something you would expect from, let's say, a Houston rapper, you know what I mean? So she did it effortlessly though, and it just seemed right. There was no questioning it. It was authentic and it was original. And yes, Megan Thee Stallion is an Aquarius, so that's just an example of what I'm referring to. They encourage other people to be independent. They value their independence, And I don't mean that they can't be in relationships. I mean that they value their time. They value their life. And so they want other people to feel that way. And so oftentimes you'll notice that you tend to pick up on those patterns from them. Okay. And when they do have conversations, they like a meaningful conversation. They're like Scorpio. They want a conversation that's actually going somewhere. They don't like surface level whatsoever. All right. When it comes to their cons, something I've noticed about Aquarius is that their emotions, you might see them for a second and then they're hiding it. They don't really enjoy people getting to see that side of them, usually. I think it's very hard to see an emotional side of Aquarius. They hide it well. They can, when they are interested in something, become so immersed in it that, let's say that they pick up a new hobby. They can become so immersed in it that they kind of forget about the outside world. And whatever it is that they're into, they're really into it. And some people would see that as a con of, yes, but, there's other things going on in life, or you have other responsibilities, things of that nature. So that's something I've noticed about an unevolved Aquarius. Aquarius doesn't always have the best time, or they tend to struggle with how they express themselves when they are uninvolved. So let's say that they want to explain something to you. They might struggle with how they're explaining it to you, because they do look at the world from many different facets that, in a way that no one else does, that they might be hard to follow, if you get what I mean. Okay. And some people just call them straight up unusual and strange. And I don't necessarily think of that as a con, but I added that in there because I think that some people will definitely see that as a con of, yes, they're a little too strange for me, or their thought process is a little too out there for me. So I added it in there, but I don't personally actually see that as a con. Pisces. I think that Pisces, their intuition is what makes them romantic. Because they intuitively know what it is that you need. They intuitively know what it is that you need them to say, or how you need to feel. And they look at the world from this point of view of feeling. This is how I feel, so I want other people to feel this. And when they are considered the most emotional of the water signs, I disagree. I think Cancer is. But I think that how they feel, it's just simply that they're compassionate people, and their empathy oftentimes gets used against them, but I don't think that it's ever come from a negative place. I think that they genuinely are compassionate people who just want other people to feel good, if that makes sense. Okay, that's the best way to put it. Pisces, they can be extremely creative. Every time that I meet Pisces, they have got some kind of venture going on that is so fascinating to me, whether it's, DIY home projects or a podcast idea that I would have never thought of. And if they are into spirituality, they are the real deal. They are the real tarot readers. They are the real witches, etc. And that's just something that comes to them naturally. When they're affectionate in a way that makes you feel everything they feel. So if they're affectionate with you, like they're giving you a hug, you feel all of that love. They want you to feel all of that love. I admire that so much about Pisces. And they can make every single day feel magical. Let's say that it's just a random Tuesday. They might do something for you or say something to you that just lightens up your day. Something about Pisces is that they are outstanding at making people feel good and making the energy shift in a good way. Okay, something I did mention briefly in Zodiac. Zodiac Summer. That's where that lyric came from. So, now that you have met all 12 of our competitors and learn the pros and cons of dating them, it's time to get down to business, new moons. One moment.
Between me and you, I have listened to Lua Nova several times. Sometimes I even go back to old episodes while I wait for a new upload. From the collective tarot readings and manifestation talks, all of it just here for us each week, free. So if Lua Nova has ever made your day a little better, you can always send a tip through Cash App at $Lua Nova Podcast. That's $Lua Nova Podcast. All right, now let's get back to the show.
I want to know who you think should date who. Because let's be honest, some zodiac signs are definitely giving power couple, and others are giving, we made it 3 dates in and we have decided to block each other permanently. So next week on Zodiac Island, I will be putting every sign to the compatibility test to see which romances have long-term potential and which ones might be better off staying friends. Obrigada, new moons, for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. And I do just want to let you know that we will not be having, during this series, there will not be the collective reading. So next week, there will not be a collective reading. As you can tell, that there's not a collective reading today. And I just want you all to know that I'm really enjoying doing this Zodiac Island series. I hope that I get enough positive feedback to bring it back next season. I'll think of something else to teach you about the Zodiac next season. But in the meantime, like I said, next week I will be going over the 12 Zodiac signs and how they mesh with the other signs. So for instance, Aries, I'll be going over Aries dating every single sign in the zodiac and then moving on to Taurus, etc., etc., etc. You got it? So that's what we'll be doing next week during the Zodiac Island series. And then you will be voting. That's right. You will be voting for not only your favorite zodiac sign and who you think should be Zodiac Island's zodiac sign of the year, but then you will be voting after I finish up next week's episode for the zodiac couple, the 2 signs that you want to see date each other in 2027. All right. This is why I want to keep the series going, because I want to see what everybody has to say. And I like that you all get to be involved in this series. So I will talk to you next week. And actually, I'll likely talk to you for this week because I'm trying to do as many Patreon previews as I can. So with that being said, team, I'm about to let you wrap it up, but I will talk to you very soon, new moons. Ciao, ciao.